The 2025 MTV Video Music Awards will be remembered not for who took home the most trophies, but for a single moment that shook the entire arena, a moment that paid homage to one of rock's greatest icons, Ozzy Osbourne. On the night of September 7th, inside the UBS Arena in New York, the energy was electric, but it shifted into something deeper, something spiritual, as the lights dimmed and the world prepared to honor the Prince of Darkness. Just weeks after his passing in July at the age of 76, the VMAs transformed into a cathedral of sound, and the tribute that followed was not just a performance, but a historical convergence of generations of rock. The stage opened with a video montage, a hauntingly beautiful reel of Ozzy's career highs, from his explosive days with Black Sabbath to his chaotic yet beloved solo career. Clips of the infamous bat-biting incident, the MTV reality show that turned his family into household names, and those iconic shots of him raising his hands to the crowd played across giant screens. But what pierced the heart was the introduction. Jack Osbourne, alongside his siblings, walked out in matching Ozzy shirts. Their faces carried both grief and pride as they declared that tonight, their father's music would live again, louder than ever. Then came Yungblud, the British rocker who has often called Ozzy his mentor and hero. Shirtless, draped in a black leather jacket lined with fur, and chains clinking against his chest, he commanded the stage with a primal scream, "All aboard!" The crowd erupted as the unmistakable opening riff of "Crazy Train" tore through the arena. And when Yungblud shouted those words Ozzy made famous, it was as if the spirit of Osbourne himself had returned to lead the madness. Guitar virtuoso Nuno Bettencourt delivered blistering riffs that sliced through the air, reminding everyone that this was not a cover, this was a resurrection. But the performance wasn't only about energy, it was about emotion. After the fiery chaos of "Crazy Train," the music softened. Yungblud, suddenly stripped of bravado, sat at center stage and began to sing "Changes," the ballad that Ozzy once recorded with his daughter Kelly. His voice cracked, his delivery raw, and as he whispered the chorus, you could see tears rolling down faces in the audience. Even celebrities in the crowd, who so often hide their feelings behind sunglasses and perfect smiles, couldn't hold back the weight of the moment. And then, the arena shook with anticipation as Steven Tyler stepped onto the stage. The Aerosmith frontman, who had officially retired from touring after a career-threatening vocal cord injury in 2024, had not been seen in a major live performance since that moment. Now 77 years old, Tyler was supposed to be finished. Yet here he was, standing under the lights, raspy, scarred, but powerful. With Joe Perry by his side, the Aerosmith duo began to play "Mama, I'm Coming Home," one of Ozzy's most emotional songs. The pairing was no accident. Steven Tyler knew what it meant to fight through pain, to struggle with demons, to stare down the end of a career, and to keep singing anyway. The lyrics seemed almost prophetic, not just for Ozzy, but for Tyler himself. When Yungblud joined them for the final chorus, arms thrown around Tyler and Perry, the moment turned into a generational handoff. From the godfathers of rock to the rising stars of tomorrow, the message was clear: Ozzy's music would never die. As the song ended, the musicians embraced, whispering the words, "Ozzy forever." The arena roared, not just in applause, but in solidarity, a collective declaration that the Prince of Darkness had ascended into legend. The performance sparked waves of emotion online. Fans flooded social media, some declaring it the greatest VMA tribute of all time, others admitting they cried harder than they expected. One wrote, "I haven't cried at a music award show in years, but seeing Tyler back on stage for Ozzy broke me." Another fan said, "This is what rock should be, raw, fearless, and unapologetic." And in that sentiment lies the truth. Ozzy Osbourne was more than just a performer. He was the embodiment of chaos, survival, and authenticity. To understand why this tribute carried such weight, we need to step back and look at the man himself. Born in Birmingham, England, John Michael Osbourne grew up poor, bullied, and restless. But when he joined Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward in the late 60s, something seismic happened. Black Sabbath was born, and with it, heavy metal as we know it. Songs like Paranoid, Iron Man, and War Pigs changed the landscape of music forever. But Ozzy's story wasn't just about hits, it was about resilience. He was fired from Sabbath, written off as a burnout, only to return with a solo career that produced anthems like Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, and of course, Mama, I'm Coming Home. Ozzy's life was never clean. Addiction, arrests, public meltdowns, they were all part of his story. Yet somehow, his fans loved him more for it. He was human, vulnerable, and unafraid to let the world see his flaws. That vulnerability is why the tribute struck such a nerve. It wasn't just about honoring a musician, it was about saluting a man who lived with no filter, who showed the world that even in chaos, beauty could exist. And then there's the legacy he leaves behind. Without Ozzy, there is no metal as we know it. There's no Motley Crue, no Slipknot, no Yungblud screaming into the microphone at the VMAs. His influence stretches across genres, generations, and continents. To see his music celebrated not just by rock veterans like Tyler and Perry, but also by newer faces like Yungblud, is proof that his impact is immortal. The night didn't belong to just one performer, though. Nuno Bettencourt's guitar solo earned its own standing ovation. Bettencourt, who once idolized Ozzy as a teenager learning the sixth string, called the tribute everything in backstage interviews. You could see it in his playing. Every note was a thank you, every riff a prayer. He wasn't just playing for the crowd, he was playing for his hero. The symbolism of Steven Tyler's return cannot be overstated. Here was a man who had lost his voice, his career cut short, stepping onto a stage to honor another legend who had just left this world. His voice cracked, but he didn't shy away from it. In fact, the imperfections made it more powerful. It was as if he was saying, I may not be who I once was, but for Ozzy, I will give everything I have left. The crowd understood, and in that moment, Tyler wasn't just singing, he was testifying. The 2025 VMAs had plenty of big winners. Lady Gaga took home multiple awards, Ariana Grande and Sabrina Carpenter had their victories, and Mariah Carey finally received her long-deserved Video Vanguard honor. But ask anyone who watched the show what they will remember, and they will not tell you about trophies or acceptance speeches. They will tell you about that tribute, that eruption of guitars, screams, tears, and unity. The closing image of the performance, Yungblud clutching a cross necklace gifted to him by Ozzy himself, Steven Tyler raising his fist, Joe Perry leaning into his guitar, Bettencourt drenched in sweat, was the kind of moment that transcends television. It was rock history being written live, a passing of the torch, and a communal cry of gratitude for the man who started it all. And so, as the lights came up and the awards show continued, the shadow of Ozzy lingered. Not a dark shadow, but a luminous one. His presence was everywhere, in the roar of the crowd, in the tears of his children, in the quiver of Tyler's voice, in the defiance of Yungblud's scream. The VMAs gave us a night that proved Ozzy Osbourne is not gone. He is in the riffs, in the chaos, in the unrelenting spirit of rock and roll. Ozzy forever. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.